Hello, my name is Gage Hawes, and today I will be covering the essentials of the defensive line, including gaps, alignment, and examples of different player archetypes. To begin, we have to understand where a given defensive lineman will rush to. To do this, we utilize a letter-based system of gaps between the offensive linemen. Gaps between the center and guard are labeled A. The next gap outwards between the guard and tackle is labeled B. Following outwards, you get C, sometimes D, and in specific offensive formations, there is an E gap. This letter system allows for a lineman to know where to go and rush. Further denotion is done with strong and weak, with the gaps to the offense's run strength being denoted as strong. For example, strong A. And in the inverse, you can have an example like weak B. This allows for any gap to be granted an easily identifiable name. The gap system allows for flexibility on the defensive line and is the base for explaining the responsibility each defensive lineman has in a given defense. However, we now need to understand the system used to explain where specifically each lineman is placed, which is called a technique or tech for short. Alignment is based on a numeric system, with two systems being utilized based on the level of play. At the youth and high school level, you can see a generic numeric system where 0 is aligned on the center, 1 is on the outside shoulder of the center, 2 is the inside shoulder of the guard, and expanding outwards. This is an easy system to understand, which makes it useful in a less experienced environment. The system that is utilized on higher levels of play is similar, but with major differences. In this system, even numbers denote alignments aligned directly on an offensive lineman, starting at 0 over the center, 2 over the guard, 4 over the tackle, and so on. Inside shoulder alignments take the number of the center alignment and adds an I to it. For example, 2I, 4I, and so on. Odd numbers fill in for the outside shoulder of a player, 1 denoting the center's both outside shoulders, then 3, then 5, and so on. Using these numbers can give us a defensive front. Here's an example out of a 4-man front. Since the weak side defensive tackle is on the inside shoulder of the guard, he is denoted as 2I, while the strong side defensive tackle is aligned on the outside shoulder of the guard. Therefore, they are denoted as a 3 tech. That 3 tech would be considered a strong 3, and that 2I would be considered a weak 2I. The alignments of the defensive ends are a little bit trickier. Some teams will align their defensive end significantly wider, which is denoted as a 9 tech. In this particular example, the defensive end on the strength is a 7 tech, but could be easily shifted to a 9 tech role. That 9 tech role is particularly important within a 3-4 defense, where it is utilized a lot more than within a 4-3 defense, which this defensive line mimics. The backside defensive end in this example is a 5 tech. Overall, while alignments can be tricky, there is an easy way to remember them. Evens are aligned with I indicates inside, and odds denote the outside shoulder. These different alignments are vital to understanding how teams build their defensive line. Some players are specialists within a specific alignment, such as nose tackles or 0 techs. For example, Dexter Lawrence of the New York Giants, who excels with his size and power to overwhelm the interior of the offensive line. They can differ from 3 techs who have more speed and utilize more complex rush moves to dominate, such as the versatile Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs. This can also apply to defensive ends or edge rushers, with many premier edge rushers like Max Crosby, Nick Bosa, or TJ Watt being exceptional as a 9 tech, but can also fill in to a closer edge rusher or out more in coverage. Every team utilizes different players with different techniques to maximize the pressure put on the offense. Teams who put the right players in the right spot will thrive. Teams can utilize good pass rushers or good run stoppers to be good in one part of the game, which is how you get teams that are really good at run stopping and not so good at pass rushing, or vice versa. But to be a truly generational team, it requires utilizing both types of players and putting them in the right spot in the right situation to generate success on the defensive line. This can be seen in teams like the 24/25 Eagles that have won a Super Bowl, essentially just rushing their normal 4 guys, but switching out the players at specific times and on specific downs in order to maximize the amount of pressure and the amount of success they had on the defensive line. Let's review the topics covered in the video. Gaps are denoted alphabetically, expanding outwards from the center and guard labeled A. These gaps denote where a player goes. Techniques denote where a player aligns, evens denoting the exact alignment over an offensive lineman starting from 0. Inside shoulder alignments are shown by attaching an I to an even number, like 2i, and odds indicate outside shoulder alignments starting at 1. All of these are denoted as strong or weak based off of the offensive's run strength. In future installments, I will cover the basics of linebacker play, corner and DB play, and then start covering defensive play calls as well as coverages. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.